Hello. If you have been following the latest development in obesity medicine and longevity research, you have probably heard the term Retatrutide. I'm very sure about that. And see, most of the people know it as one of the most promising weight loss peptide, which is currently under development. But the fact is that what if I tell you that its potential benefits may go far beyond losing weight? So what if improving body composition is just one part of the story? And today in this session, let's understand why retatrutide has generated so much excitement and why many researchers believe retatrutide can or could influence some of the fundamental processes which are associated with aging. So to understand this, we first need to understand where aging actually begins. See, many people think aging start when wrinkles appear or when joints become painful. In reality, aging begins much deeper and much earlier. It begins at the cellular level. Every organ in your body is made up of cells, and inside every cell, there are structures which are responsible for producing energy, repairing damage, and maintaining normal functions of your body. And as these cellular processes become less efficient over a period of time, your body gradually begins to age. So basically, aging begins from the cellular level. And one of the most important structures inside your cell is the mitochondria. And these are called as the powerhouse of the cell, because they produce this ATP, which is the energy which is required for every activity in your body. And when mitochondria function efficiently, our cell produce energy efficiently and effectively and repair themselves properly and remain healthy, right? But when we get aged, right, the oxidative stress will come and chronic inflammation will be there, poor metabolic health will be there, and excess body fat gradually reduce this mitochondrial efficiency. And then what happens? Energy production will come down, it will decline, and cellular damages will accumulate, and aging accelerate or aging start, and then it get accelerated. And that is where retatrutide becomes more interesting. See, most people know retatrutide because it is having a remarkable ability to reduce the body weight. There is no question about that. But reducing body weight alone is not what has attracted so much scientific attention to retatrutide. Researchers are interested in what happens inside the body when this metabolism improves. So from three receptor side, the metabolism is improving continue GIP, GLP-1, and glucagon receptors, right? So better metabolism means what? Healthier cells, and healthier cells may contribute to healthier aging. So one of the important effects which are associated with retatrutide is its ability to reduce inflammation throughout the body. So the chronic inflammation, in fact, is one of the major drivers of aging. So inflammation also comes down with the use of retatrutide, and it affects almost every organ system in your body, and it contributes to when inflammation, right? Because of inflammation, you feel fatigue, you feel joint pain, you feel even fat, you'll have a poor recovery, and your metabolic health also get reduced, your cardiovascular disease and many other chronic conditions can come because of this inflammation which is there in your body. And when your cells become older, in fact some of them stop functioning normally. Instead of dying and being removed, what happens is they remain in the body and they continue releasing inflammatory chemicals, right? And that's what often referred to as the senescent or the zombie cells, right? And they no longer contribute positively to the tissue function, but they continue producing signal that will increase inflammation and affect the surrounding healthy cells also. So that's what I mean by the zombie cells, right? So they are getting older, they are inefficient, but they won't get removed, or they won't die. Rather, they produce a negative impact, and not only they themselves produce negative impact, it will affect the other cells also. And if we can reduce inflammation, by reducing this overall inflammation, in fact, retatrutide may actually help to create a healthier cellular environment, right? And healthy cell function is better when the inflammatory burden is lower. And reta is actually doing in one way that that inflammation is coming down, and it is actually reducing the burden. In fact, it will slow some of the processes which are associated with aging also. So retatrutide, it's not only going to control your appetite, it is going to work across the body. And another important reason for this reduction of inflammation is the effect of retatrutide on visceral fat. See, not all body fat behaves the same way. The fat located just beneath the skin is different from the fat stored inside the abdomen around the organs such as your liver, intestines, right? And this is internal fat, and this is what known as the visceral fat, the fat which is surrounding your internal organs. And it is metabolically active and continuously release inflammatory substances into the bloodstream. So higher amounts of visceral fats, in fact, are associated with issues like diabetes, heart disease, stroke, and fatty liver diseases, etc., and many other metabolic disorder also. Now, retatrutide, what they do is they appears to be particularly very effective when it comes to reducing the visceral fat. In fact, one reason is that, in addition to acting on GLP-1, that is what Ozempic, Mounjaro, tirzepatide, and semaglutide also do. GIP and GLP-1, it also activates the glucagon receptor. So this is the additional mechanism, and that basically encourages the body to use the stored fat as energy resource and an energy source. So here, when the fat oxidation increase, the body becomes more effective at utilizing its own fat stores, which is already stored, right? Or it normally stores for fuel. So that fat will be used, and this process will continue not only during the exercise but also even during your routine daily activities, and even during your sleep also. So when the visceral fat decreases, the inflammatory burden on the body also declines. So it reduces the inflammation, right, on one way, and the visceral fat also create inflammation signals, and that also controlled. Visceral fat is controlled, so that way also inflammation comes down. Dead cells, to an extent, also it is controlled, so that way also the inflammation come down. So retatrutide, in fact, improve the the glucose regulation, right? The glucagon receptor is there. So when people age, many we tend to develop insulin resistance, and in this condition, the body cells do not respond effectively to insulin, and that lead to elevated blood sugar levels. So also the persistently high glucose levels, that will damage the blood vessels, and that again can increase inflammation, and that can impair the mitochondrial function, and it can again accelerate the aging at the cellular level. So by improving insulin sensitivity and lowering blood glucose level, again retatrutide creates a healthy metabolic environment. So when the glucose level remains within a normal range, what happens? The cells are able to produce energy more efficiently, and the cells will repair themselves more effectively and also function under less metabolic stress. So the excess glucose, that also contribute to, there is a process known as glycation, right? And in simple terms, if I want to tell you, sugar molecules attach themselves to proteins and other important structure inside the body, including DNA. And this alters their normal function and contribute to like tissue damage over a period of time. So by improving the glucose control, retatrutide, in fact, can reduce this ongoing damage and can help to maintain a healthier cellular structure also. Another fascinating process, in fact, associated with healthy aging is, autophagy. So autophagy is often described as the body's natural cellular housekeeping system, and it basically identifies, the damaged or dysfunctional cellular components and remove them, and that will allow healthier structures to replace them, right? So the efficient autophagy, that helps to maintain healthy tissues and healthy cells by removing the, inefficient ones, right? The damaged ones or the dysfunctional cells, right? So see, when high insulin levels tend to suppress autophagy, because retatrutide improves insulin sensitivity and lower the fasting insulin levels, it may in fact create condition that allow autophagy to function more effectively again. So this is a kind of cellular cleanup process, right? That becomes more active then, and damaged cells and the cellular waste can be removed more efficiently, and that will support healthier tissue maintenance. So researchers have also become interested in how retatrutide influencing the nutrient sensing also. So when we are young, our bodies constantly monitor energy intake and energy expenditure with a proper, remarkable precision. The brain, the digestive system, the hormones, and the metabolic pathways, they communicate more efficiently to maintain the balance. But when we age, these communication systems become less efficient, and the signals between the gut and the brain and other organs that gradually lose its accuracy, and that contribute to metabolic dysfunction. Now, because retatrutide activate the GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors simultaneously, In fact, it is improving these communication pathways in a much better way, and better nutrient sensing is basically allowing the body to regulate energy intake and energy utilization more effectively. And that is creating a better metabolic condition that, in fact, resembles those which we have seen in the younger individuals or during our younger time. Now, let's briefly look at two other peptides also, which is frequently discussed alongside retatrutide. The first is GHKCU. See, many people recognize GHKCU because of its effects on the skin quality, collagen production, and wound healing, and tissue repair also. But its potential role is extending far beyond this cosmetic application. In fact, there are research which suggests that GHKCU influences thousands of genes involved in tissue repair, cellular maintenance, and the healthy function. And it appears to support the collagen production, tissue regeneration, and neurological health, and overall cellular repair. So this the bigger influence that you see on gene, thousands of genes, that activity has made GHKCU one of the most widely discussed peptides in the longevity research. So along with retatrutide, GHKCU is one of the best combination. One more, that is MOTSC. In fact, MOTSC is often referred to as exercise mimetic, because of many of its effect mainly resemble some of the beneficial cellular responses which are produced during your regular exercise. One of its most important action is supporting the mitochondrial health. And healthy mitochondria are always essential for energy production, as I discussed before, and physical performance and recovery and your healthy aging. So there are research which are suggesting that MOTSC encourages the formation of new mitochondria and improve the efficiency of existing ones. And it has also been investigated for other functions like improving glucose utilization, supporting metabolic health, and maintaining bone density, and also promoting healthier cellular function. But again, it's very important to remember that there is no peptide which is going to replace healthy living. Regular exercises, which remain essential even if you are using all the peptides, maintaining that muscle mass, through resistance training, that remains very much essential, very much required. A high protein nutrient diet, that remains essential. Good sleep, stress management, and your maintaining a healthy body composition, that again remain the foundation for long-term health. So peptide should be viewed as a tool that may support these healthy habits, but not as a substitute to these healthy habits. So the reason retatrutide has attracted so much attention now is not simply because it helped people to lose the weight. Researchers are now interested because it improving metabolism overall, reducing inflammation, lowering the visceral fat, improving glucagon regulation, and supporting autophagy, which I've discussed with you, and enhancing cellular efficiency that may influence many of the biological processes which are associated with aging. Whether retatrutide ultimately become an important therapy in longevity medicine, that will of course depend on the future research. But what is already clear is that its effect that extend well beyond the number of displayed or whatever we have seen so far. So as our understanding of metabolism, cellular biology, and peptide science continue to grow, in fact, these peptides like retatrutide, GHKCU, MOTSC are helping us to explore exciting possibilities, that by improving health of our cells, and we may also improve health of the entire body. So from the cellular level, if aging starting, we need to block that aging from the cellular level itself. That's the entire point. So I hope you got it, and if you are looking for any consultation or any clarification or any peptide related knowledge or requirement, you can get in touch with us. I see you. Thank you.